Wonderful. So we'd like to take a moment to start off with a land acknowledgement. It's important for all of us to acknowledge the traditional territories in which we live and work as part of our commitment to decolonization and the TRC calls to action. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the offices of eCampus Ontario are located on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. This land is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I also recognize that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and that this territory is part of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum, a treaty between the Anishinaabe, the Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee. This agreement represents a commitment to share and protect the land and responsibly care for its resources in harmony. It's very important for all of us to acknowledge the land and recognizing that I personally am a settler who has been benefiting from it from my residency here, whether it's through living, travel, work, or simply living here. It's an essential part of how we honor and value the significance of land, that we take a moment to reflect on these things. And I invite you all to share your own land acknowledgements since we're all convening in a digital space. You see on the slide the traditional territories map, and we'll also share out the link if anybody would like to explore and understand their own relationship with the land more. All right, thanks everyone. For today's agenda, we're going to spend the next 55 minutes or so on what Learnful is bringing to explore and share with us. We'll start a brief introduction so you learn a little bit more about what Learnful and Axiom is, as well as the purpose of AI tutors. You'll get a demo on creating an AI tutor, as well as examples of applications. You get to try your hand at building one yourself. So it's a very interactive workshop. And we'll end with sharing discussion, any questions you might have. We'll also share a survey link during this session, as well as the follow-up emails about this workshop. Please do take a moment to fill out this survey. It really helps us understand what you liked, what you would like to see more of, and what we can do better in the future. Your feedback through this goes directly into how we develop our programs going forwards. So again, please do look out for that survey. We'd really appreciate your input on it. To give you a little bit of a background on eCampus Ontario, in case you're not familiar, as most of you know, eCampus Ontario is a nonprofit organization funded by the province that leads a group of 56 publicly assisted colleges, universities, and Indigenous institutions across Ontario. Our goal is to promote the use of educational technologies and digital learning environments, particularly through our department that's hosting this webinar, EdTech Sandbox, where we create a safe and risk-free space for institutions to experiment with educational technology tools, which is a rapidly changing landscape. And for those of you who are new to Sandbox, we are a curated marketplace of EdTech tools for educators and institutions that will hopefully help make your life easier. We're dropping a link. Oh, her link's already in. So take some time to explore, see what's out there. You might find a lot of information available about a variety of EdTech tools. And the EdTech Toolbox in general aims to help educators discover tools, pilot them for a short period of time to explore their pedagogical potential, then to provide reviews of their capabilities through our standard assessments, and then therefore support adoption of technologies by accessing community support channels, resources, and any product information. If you ever have any questions about this program at large, please send us an email. Again, the email is up in our chat. It's sandbox@ecampusontario.ca. I'd love to now hand it over to Yassine. So I'm going to stop sharing and sit back and enjoy as well.
Thanks so much, Mary. Welcome, everybody. My name is Yassine. I am chatting with you today from the beautiful Waterloo region. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to try and get my share screen set up here. So I suppose, Mary, you can let me know if once my screen is visible here. Wonderful. So I'm here to kind of do a bit of a walkthrough, a demo, if you will, of our latest product, Axiom AI, which is an AI tutor builder. Very excited to be here and give you guys this walkthrough. Before I jump in, I just wanted to kind of sort of ground this discussion and who we are, Learnful. So we are a Waterloo-based EdTech company. We focus on the intersection of open education and open source. That's kind of where we've been for the last 5 or 6 years. You'll notice a screenshot of H5P Studio here on the right-hand side. That was kind of the catalyst, if you will, of how Learnful came together. This was one of the first products, if you will, that I helped launch, and since then it's been a very kind of that concept of community-based, open source, centralized software for open education has been a central theme in what Learnful does. You can learn more about Learnful when you go to our site, learnful.io. I should also mention Nicole. I'm joined today by my colleague Nicole from Learnful as well. So if you see her in the chat, that's our colleague there. Our impact since 2020, since we've been building software for education here in Ontario, we've had over 15,000 educators use our platforms and technologies. They've authored over 120,000 resources using the tools and technologies that we've helped launched or made open source. And we estimate that from licensing alone, we've helped institutions across North America save about 2 million annually just on licensing by using open source or centrally hosted and available platforms. We have two platforms. Like I mentioned, the first one it started off as this concept of H5P Studio, and it has since evolved. We call it OER Studio. It's very much H5P Studio with a whole lot of community features. You can check it out on our website. And the product that we're here to kind of demo and walk through today, it's brand new. We're still testing it out, still in the early stages. It's called Axiom, and it's an AI tutor. And you can go and figure it out. You can go and find out more about the sort of various sandboxes and tools and technologies that we have at learnful.io. So, Axiom. Let's start with a bit of a quote that we had from one of our faculty that helped us design and test. Axiom completes the loop between AI, educator, and student. So this means that there's a loop between the student and AI and the educator, and it means that currently that loop is most likely broken. And so what Axiom tries to do is connect that loop so that it's all connected and we can all kind of work together with AI. So that's our kind of our vision, if you will, for Axiom. Um, the moment we're in, so whether or not we are designing or adapting our courses to cater or to address the AI scenario or situation, um, we can't avoid the fact that AI is central to the student experience, the student learning experience. Students self-report 80%, maybe even higher in your institution, that they're already using AI tools in their courses. Most of these AI tools that they're using, they are bypassing instructors. They're bypassing the learning environment. Excuse me. They're bypassing the learning supports that we work so hard to kind of set up. And so this presents a number of risks: misalignment, academic integrity, misinformation. It's just it's a bit of a mess. Uh, if we think about it from an opportunity perspective, well, we have the opportunity to kind of bring back AI into this guided curriculum aligned research-based approach that might improve the way we teach ultimately. And so that's where Axiom comes into play. It's Ontario built here in Waterloo. It helps educators create their own intelligent tutors, uh, study agents, course assistants, practice generators, any sort of helper that might be kind of well suited to be AI driven. And it's built directly on your course material, on the course material that you already have. Now, this is not a new concept. You've seen lots of these, perhaps dozens at this point, similar platforms. Even platforms like ChatGPT now have study mode or what have you. So what makes Axiom different from, for example, ChatGPT or any of these other platforms that might already exist? So Axiom is open source, which means no vendor lock-in. We envision that it will be installed on your campus and extended by your developers. So think of that as a base that you can start and ramp up your AI efforts directly on campus with the skills, resources, and such that you already have. Obviously, we'll have a cloud version that's available as well, but we would rather work with you folks at an institutional level, kind of how we've done with some of the other tools that we have, and help you bring this into your institution so that it's governed by your policies and not ours. Throughout the demo, you'll also see that we have a lot of analytics here, and this is perhaps one of the main reasons we should not be sending this data, that is AI tutor data, out to vendors, is because the data is so rich and it's brand new data that we've never captured before in education. And so Axiom tries to essentially make this data, surface this data, so that we can see what we can learn from this. And Axiom also provides teacher in the loop, so educator in the loop functionality. So the educator is a part of the chat. It's not just the student, the AI. Again, it's that loop that's currently broken that we try to mend with this technology. So what can educators build? Course tutors, textbook companions, unit specific assistants, lab assistants, very lots of different tools. Anything you can really imagine can be built as a agent or a tutor within Axiom. And so let's jump into the workshop without any further delay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a space. In that space, we're going to upload our assignment details. We'll review the tutor's knowledge. We'll find the tutor's settings, and we'll chat as a student. We'll see what that experience looks like, and we'll see how the educator can jump into a loop, what that teacher in the loop process looks like. And finally, we'll review the concept of threads, the concept of analytics, and really just see where those concepts kind of take us. So as I mentioned, you can follow along at axiomai.ca. And I'll just pull up another browser here. So here I am on axiomai.ca. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. Where you should start is just clicking on register and either register using email or just register using Google or Microsoft. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in with my Google account here. And once you log in, your dashboard will look a little bit like this. It'll be empty. You'll have the spaces you've joined will be empty. The spaces you manage will be empty as well. We're going to go ahead and create our first space. You'll notice for this early kind of adopters, early access, we've allowed up to 3 spaces. So you can create up to 3 spaces as you test it out. We'll go ahead and create our first space here. We're going to add a title and a description. And we'll go ahead and create that space. And just like that, we've already created a space. Even right now, this might be useful. I can start chatting right away. I would be chatting directly with GPT-5. Obviously, I haven't uploaded any files or anything like that, but if I just wanted to provide my students GPT-5 with the instructor in the middle, without any of the sort of training, that's obviously something we could do as well. But this is the landing page for my space. You'll notice I have, the information I provided. The instructors and TAs are listed here for the students, and any of the students' chats or any of my own personal chats would show up here as well. It's telling me that the space has been created, but we need to upload files into our knowledge base here. So we're going to go ahead and click on settings, find knowledge base. And from here, we have our knowledge base library where we can upload files. I'm just going to go ahead and find my desktop here, find my workshop files. I'm just going to upload a couple of documents here. I'm going to be using, so Nicole has shared in the chat here a link to some files. If you don't want to upload your own files, you can use the Axiom Getting Started Guide PDF or doc to build your tutor. In this example, I'm using from the BC Open Collective this concepts from or content from this open course pack. And so I've shared the link there as well if you want to grab some of the same content there as well. So I've loaded here a Word document that is called Week 1. I'm going to upload my assignment details. Going to upload the PowerPoint for this specific Week 1 assignment. I'll also upload Chapter 2 from the textbook and Chapter 3 from the textbook. And as you can see, as I upload files, they are processed by our internal RAG system, our internal chunking system, and they get turned into chunks. And so for each chunk that exists, if we explore the knowledge chunks here, we can see that basically when we upload a file, it gets processed and converted into these smaller chunks that are then available for the AI to respond with. So for example, if I was to search for a keyword here, let's call it problem definition. You'll note that if the student was to use this keyword in their discussion with the AI tutor, that these would be the most relevant chunks that are available to them, and these would be the chunks that um, the agent uses to essentially use in their response to the student. So that's a quick way to kind of take a look at as we upload our content to see what our knowledge base looks like, just at a very high level. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything here. So we uploaded those things. Let's upload a rubric as well. Um, Guide and so on. Okay, that should be enough. While we're here, let's also open up. I'm going to try and open up the Word document here so we can see kind of what's in there. So this is the assignment that I've uploaded that I'm building this AI tutor to essentially support the students in. You'll notice that the assignment is assignment 1, defining problems, provides us kind of what we need, what the student needs to do. And then these are the problem definitions. So the challenges, pick one of those and so on, provide the definition. And so all of that information has been now fed into our AI tutor. And so the AI tutor is essentially ready to start answering questions. We also have settings for our space. So I'm going to go into settings real quick to take a look at what that looks like. We can modify the description. So we can upload a cover photo here, the title, the introduction. If I had TAs or other faculty joining me and I wanted to list their profiles in the Spaces homepage, I'd be able to list them here. Under AI settings, we can modify things like the AI model. Right now, we're just using GPT-5, but obviously, when we launch this, you'll be able to select which models you use, including being able to reference your own local model if this is something that we work with you on an institutional level. You'll also be able to provide your own API keys. This again gives you a lot more control over your own data. You won't be referencing our API keys or our API configurations. For OpenAI, for example, it will be your own API key. And if you work in central IT, that probably makes you a little bit happy. It might not make sense for the rest of us, though. Prompt configuration. So this is where if I wanted to change the tone or the behavior of my AI tutor, I could add it here. I can modify how I want it to respond or even add my own custom rules here. We'll have modifications to some simple modifications to the behavior of the model. Respond with external knowledge or not, allow searching the web or not, allow image generation or code generation, and you can think of perhaps a few more settings that we'll have there as well. You can also add conversation starters. So I'm just going to add a few here. So one, maybe I want my students to say, help me choose one of the challenges from the assignment. I might also prompt students to say, well, how do I get an A on this assignment? So I'm going to go ahead and hit those, hit save there to save my conversation starters. Lastly, I'll talk about access. And so here on our cloud version of Axiom, You can choose whether or not your space is hidden or listed. All that does is it changes whether or not it's available in the Spaces library. So the Spaces library is somewhere where you might send students to go and find and join spaces. You'll notice that some spaces are open, so I can just join them. Some spaces require an access code, and others might even be private, and I wouldn't be able to join it at all. But if I wanted my space listed there, in this case, I am going to change it so you guys can, once you log in, you can see the space. And I'm going to also change the access. So the access options we have right now, it could be private. So that means I control who joins this by manually adding people. I can make it a walled garden. And for that, I would generate an access code, which allows me to share this access code with folks who would then be able to join this space if they provide the right access code. Or I can make it open in that anybody who is logged in to Axiom would be able to join this space. So I'm going to make it a walled garden. I've generated the code there. I'm going to hit save, and I'm just going to throw that into the chat. If you would like to join the space. So let's go back into the dashboard here, or the landing page for our space. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create our first conversation. Go ahead and create a thread. And so just like that, we've created a thread. We have our conversation starters that are available to us. And what I might ask, obviously I can type my own question in here if I wanted to, but maybe this is where I start. So right now like I mentioned, we're using GPT-5. And so this is GPT-5 answering the questions. You'll notice that it's answered the question. It's provided the sources in terms of where it got the information. So what are the chunks that it used to respond to this student's question? And then from here, it's always trained, and this is our custom prompt. It's always trained to essentially, uh, um, it's always trained to sort of prompt the next step, if you will. So here it's asked me, so this is the information about, how to get an A. Uh, which challenge are you thinking of? So I'll just say in this case, I'll answer the question. I'll say nursing or nurses. Now it's asking me, okay, so how do we get an A? Can you tell me what you currently understand about the problem with nursing in Canada? For example, do you think the main issue is shortage, training, retention, or something else? So I might say it's a skills shortage. So it's a good starting point. Let's dig a bit deeper. You say skills shortage. Do you mean there aren't enough nurses overall? That the nurses aren't available, don't have specific skills? So not enough nurses, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, it's meant to act as a guide, and that's kind of how we've designed the prompt. Um, and obviously, at an institution level, you'll be able to manage your system prompt and its behavior yourself. Um, what else should I say about that? And obviously, at the course level, I could just go back into my course here under settings, under AI settings. I would be able to add my own instructions to amend the system prompt to make it, behave and react in a way that makes more sense to me. And obviously, we're continuously improving and evolving that system prompt. And there's a really good opportunity for really great research and collaboration on that sort of system prompt, which I would be very welcome, very open to that sort of collaboration. Right. So we've created a thread. We've asked it some questions. Again, we can jump back into the thread at any time. We can create a new thread, continue, like start a new chat entirely. You'll notice that the thread titles get generated automatically based on whatever kind of we're asking here. So let's say temperature in this one. Um, and yeah, so that's in a nutshell, that's the student experience. I'll create a thread. I will, chat within it. Let's talk about now the instructor's experience from the other side. So as an instructor, obviously we have our settings, we have our knowledge base. We also have our members. So I'll just go ahead and check out, there's the folks that are joined here. So I can quickly manage members there. We also have threads. So in here, I can see, so there's a good question here, Eliza. How do you overcome the flattery of ChatGPT and promote more critical thinking in this tool? It's a great question. Again, that custom prompt field is probably a great place to start. The system prompt is obviously somewhere that we need to do that as well. So here, I'm the admin of this space. I can see all of the chats that are going on within my space, and I can jump into um, any one of these chats at any time and take a look at what the student is doing. So if I was to jump into this chat, I can in here, I could chat with the student as the instructor. So I can say, this was good, but like here, let's get the AI to respond in this way or something like that. Or I can add a note to the student, say, this is for example, an important distinction to make in quiz one. Right, and I can post that note to the student. The student would see that note, and they would understand that this came from the instructor. That this is the instructor jumping in and saying, this is a relevant, pointing back to something in some sort of way that guides the student in the right direction or realigns them with perhaps what the course is about at that point. Now, it's not just the instructor that can add the notes. Obviously, the student can add notes for themselves. Think about it as kind of like sticky notes as the conversation kind of evolves, for the student to be able to reference again. You can imagine we can do a lot of different things with this concept of notes. We can generate, a separate journal or a separate sort of um, notes book, if you will, where as a student I can say, well, what were all my notes, and like summarize this all my threads on these concepts so that I can have my study notes kind of pre-prepped, if you will, or let me know if I've missed anything in this any of the concepts, any core concepts based on what the AI is trained on, for example. And so there's a lot of opportunities there to do something really interesting. Obviously, this is the early steps in terms of how we are managing um, the threads here. And obviously, some of these threads might be 100 messages, maybe even more. And no instructor that I know is going to be able to go through all those messages and see what's happening. So we do also have the explore button, which allows us to quickly uh, so let me see why that didn't work out. Let's just refresh again. So instead of just going in and reading the chats, we also want to provide a summary um, of what the chat substance is. And so in a thread, a student might have a chat session one day, revisit that chat session a week, a day, an hour later, whatever it might be, and have multiple sessions. And so we want to be able to map what that trajectory looks like when they started conversating about this. What were the connected concepts, and how did they carry over that conversation a week later, 2 weeks later, and whatnot? And so those are the sort of tools that we want to provide instructors at a base level. It's not just AI and chat, it's AI chat with the instructor, and it's data driven so that the instructor can continue to provide, research-based pedagogy, apply research-based pedagogy to continuously improve their, the learning outcomes here. Um, right. Let's take a look. I know there's some questions there. I will jump into those, I promise. Let's just wrap this up here. So we talked about threads. We're going to go into the analytics here. And the analytics give us, again, a little bit of a dashboard for the average instructor to take a look at how their tutor is being used over time, at a base level, how many messages, how, the health of the knowledge base, if you will, how many people, how active students are, and what are the trends in terms of access. Is it prior to a course, to a quiz, exam, and so on. We also want to provide uh, summaries or aggregate sort of knowledge, if you will, about how students are using things within the space. So, for example, common topics allow us to explore, well, what are the most sort of uh, con regular concepts within this space. So you'll note that, things like how do I get an A on this assignment? Uh, if the frequency is 7, so this would just, how often does something similar to that uh, get mentioned by the student? You'll notice that we even have, variations of that sort of question. And we could get a better idea of how students are using these tools, what they're talking about, and how those concepts are connected. We also have common keywords. And so this comes down to, what are the keywords? I mean, at a base level, just, what are some of the most frequently referenced words in our space, and that might be useful for just getting I suppose, a pulse on how what students might be talking about. Lastly, we have lots of ideas in terms of how to visualize this and how to connect it so that it's not just data and numbers, but it's a little bit more of, visualization, for allowing me to get a better sense of the evolution of the student's learning journey, of the evolution of the student's sort of methodology of questioning or um, not integrating. What's the word I'm looking for? Interpreting the content, I suppose. And so we have concepts like the network map that we're just experimenting with. And what a network map will allow us to do is visually represent the connected topics within a space's um, chats, if you will. So, for example, we would be able to take a look at something like whenever deep learning, deep learning is connected to natural language processing, 3%, 30% of the time, and sometimes, 10% of the time, they'll also mention NLTA, TK, and so on and so forth. And so, how are concepts connected? What's the frequency of those connections? What does it look like when students are chatting with these concepts? And we'd be able to, create these nodes, reference them, and reference how closely related they are. Similarly, we'll be able to take a look at how the flow of concepts work. So when a student starts talking about, for example, Ohm's law, 10% of the time they might talk next about series circuits. After that, they might talk about equivalent resistance, Kirchhoff's laws, and so on. So what's the, 10% of the time it goes here, 20% of the time it goes here. Before they talked about this concept, they came from here, just to really map where concepts are related. Um, so we can better understand um, our own content and improve upon that, find the gaps, and make sure that we are building the best course that we possibly can. Wonderful. Um, so that's the demo of spaces, building our tutor, the tools that are afforded to us within that space, what we can do with them. Um, and obviously, this is just the early stages where you have a lot of ideas that we're attempting to implement, and so on and so forth. I'm going to try and jump into some of these questions here. So bear with me for a second. So I'll jump into the QA portion here. Karima, is Axiom energy consuming like the other IA? Yes, I mean, we're using servers and networks and things of that nature. So and we're using GPT, in this case, OpenAI GPT. So whatever energy is required to process that. Does it work independently, or can it connect to other LMS platforms like Moodle and D2L? Great question. Um, So yes, it works independently as is at an institutional level, and that's where the sort of collaboration, I believe, there's room for collaboration there. we would be able to connect um, to your to integrate into your LMS or integrate into your other learning platforms, either simply just for roster sync or embedding. We'd be able to figure that out for sure. What are the copyright implications to uploading things like textbooks, chapters, journals, articles? It's a great question. Again, this is why I think it should be installed on institution servers instead of our servers. That way, it's driven by your institution's policies and not our policies or anybody else's policies. Um, and to that effect, it largely depends what can you upload. It's largely dependent on what your institution's policies are on that, and it's going to be different case by case. Can I adjust the chunks myself? Can I exclude external resources? Great question. So right now, the chunking is a very specific process, or sorry, automated process, I should say. But yeah, in the future, you'll be able to jump into here and modify a chunk, add your own chunks, delete chunks, and things of that nature as well. The second part of that question, can I exclude external resources? Absolutely. So it's turned off right now, but in the future, you'll be able to um, I should say it's turned on right now, and it's in the future you'll be able to check this checkbox right here that says respond with external knowledge, and that means that if there is no relevant chunks that it finds for this from your knowledge base, it will just say I can't proceed any further and just not answer the student's question at all. How much knowledge can fit in a space? Great question. Um, so we for this demo or for this early access, maximum file size is 10 megabytes. Maximum number of uploads is 20 files. That should be more than enough, even in real world scenarios. But yeah, let us know how that feels, and if you reach a wall, I would love to know that experience as well. I'm sorry if I missed this. Do we have to create an account to access the space? Is there a general login that we can use? Absolutely, yeah. So I'll just log out for a second. When you go to Axiom AI, if you want to test this out, just click on register. You can just register for an account, and you can log in with that account afterwards as well. I'd recommend using Google or Microsoft to make your life a little bit easier. Is it possible to have more than one person in the instructor role and view the activity this way? Absolutely. So in here, when I go into my space, I can go into the members section and I can, for example, I can make, Aldo an admin as well. And now he has admin rights and he could modify the space, view the threads in the same way that I can as well. I'm just going to go ahead and change that back so Aldo doesn't get in trouble. But yeah, you can have multiple people there and you could uh, uh, have multiple uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Multiple profiles as well. So in here, if I had a TA and so on, I wanted to list them, we could list them as well. I'm also going to just kind of really drop a brief sort of feature reveal here. You'll note that we have at and then the username there. In the future, you'll be able to, while you're chatting, be able to add somebody. That's a feature that we have already implemented, just that it's hidden away right now while we test it out. And so the idea is that in my instructors and TAs list, I'll be able to add my instructor, add my TA, add my, whoever's involved in the chats there and just bring them in, chat with them directly. They get notified that, so and so is trying to chat with you. And so that allows us to have those collaborative chats, very, in a very kind of tight way, if you will. We have a question about information security, data privacy. How does it protect coursework materials and student and educator information from being shared with ChatGPT or any external body? Great question. So when we set this up, you'll remember that we used OpenAI GPT-5. So we're using OpenAI's API service, and that's the same service that banks, government institutions, hospitals, whomever. That's the same service. That's the business to business model of OpenAI. It's not chatgpt.com. This is OpenAI specifically. And when you create an OpenAI API service account, you have various things under your control in terms of what gets stored, what gets logged, how does your data get treated by OpenAI, for example. And OpenAI is obviously compliant with GPDR, and they have a zero trust and zero store policy that you can enact, which means that they will never store or use your data via that you send via API unless you explicitly tell them that they can. So it's a off first, turn it on if you really think you want it kind of scenario. And so that's why we're pretty confident that because again, this is not just something for us. This is institutions much larger than us, banks, government agencies. They also use these services, and they have a lot more, sensitive data perhaps than some of our data. And OpenAI provides configuration to enable the essentially to make sure that that data is safe, if you will, and as any way that we could trust OpenAI to make our data safe is the caveat I'll add there. Does ChatGPT use our resources content for training? Great question. Again, no. The way that we've configured GPT-5, we're not using ChatGPT. We're using GPT, which is an AI service. It's a model, not a website. And so none of the data that gets uploaded here, none of the conversations are used in training. Have you tested other tools, Mistral, Claude, and so on? We have. Again, we're going to have a lot of different tools here, especially some of the open source models. We're looking for institutional partners to help us host infrastructure, so AI models, open models like Mistral, like even OpenAI's open models, so that we could make those available for their members and perhaps the community at large. Are you collecting UX feedback on early users? Can folks get involved and things of this nature at this stage? Absolutely. So we are in the early stages. If you sign up today, register for an account, I'll have your email address. If you don't sign up, that's fine too. You can just shoot me an email, hello@learnful.io, and I will get back to you. We are, again, this is the very early stages. We want to work with institutions and educators. We've been lucky enough where we already have some institutions and educators and researchers working with us. But obviously, the more folks that we have helping us build this, the better it is. We want this to be Ontario-based. We want this to be a tool for Ontario and Canada, and perhaps first and foremost, and then perhaps later on we can think about what else to do with it. Um, but that being said, we want to work with folks, so please get in touch. Um, can you talk uh, about its possible role in evolution and skills testing? It's a great question. Unfortunately, I cannot. Not because I don't see it or I don't want to, or it's just because that's out of my realm of understanding. I'll leave that to the pedagogy researchers and education researchers who understand these topics. Obviously, there's a lot that we could do here. I look forward to the sort of questions that we can sort of peel back when we start to do actual research here. Does it send the creator instructor questions that it's unable to answer if you exclude external resources? That's a great feature that we might want to add in the future. Obviously, we don't have any sort of notifications or anything like that right now, but as threads are made, as students have chats, we do want the instructor to not have to manually go through, but to be able to be alerted. In various ways, and we can use AI to do that for us. Obviously, we mentioned the thread summaries, but you can also imagine thread, conversation being flagged in some sort of way by AI to let us know that this is something that we need to potentially address. The instructor needs to potentially address, I should say. What specific pedagogical frameworks are included? It's a great question. Again, it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, so I can't really speak on that. Um, but yeah, there we want this to be research-based, pedagogy, curriculum-driven, and so there's a lot of sort of alignment tools that we need to kind of think about. A lot of methodologies already in place. Again, most of the educator folks that are talking to us are driving that. Um, Again, a little bit out of my wheelhouse to really answer eloquently for you, unfortunately. Question about accessibility. Yeah, so we are currently doing a, VPAT for this platform. We're also submitting a HECVAT and Learnful as as an organization. We're currently undergoing our SOC 2 compliance. All this to say that we are doing all the standards compliance checks to make sure that we are we're somebody that you guys could uh, easily work with without being too worried. Some of the institutions that are helping us test this are, we've already gone through their IRA process, for example. So it's being vetted by central IT in these various institutions. And so, just this, I say that just to say that, we if we go through one, then the rest of them will hopefully be a lot easier as well. Leads us to us. The other question here, are any institutions using this right now? I'm not going to name drop, but yes, we do have institutions that are piloting this right now, and we're looking for other institutions to join up as well. Here in Ontario, I should say. Um, will the interface be in French too? It's a great question. I would love to work with Francophone members, institutions, schools, programs to make that occur. I would definitely see an ability to do that. I think as a good feature. Um, so next question here: can you discuss your funding? If this is free, what's the possibility it could just go away in time? Great question. So I should mention, or I should clarify. Actually, let's go into these slides here that I kind of missed. So about early access, this is not going to go on forever, but hopefully by December we've kicked the tires enough, and we have institutional partners that are helping us pilot this and figuring it out. Anybody who takes part in the early access will have once you complete the survey and all that for us, you'll have a free 1 year subscription at the, let's call it the pro level. We don't know what that's going to be. Um, but you can imagine all the content you're uploading here all right now during this sort of early steps. I would imagine that you should treat this as kind of experimental. It might get deleted unless you talk with us directly. This is not for um, long term. This is for testing, if you will, at the moment. In terms of availability, so we'll have individual accounts. This is kind of how we're seeing it. This is not sort of sorted out just yet. We'll have individual accounts. So if your institution is not ready to kind of jump in fully, you'll be able to have, we're thinking right now per course pricing. So I can set up one for my course. Um, for institutions, we'll have a shared and private cloud. We'll also have the on-premise option, so we can install it again directly on your network. And that's kind of how we're thinking it right now. And this will be open source as well, so the institutions can just grab it, or instructors, educators, developers can just take the code and deploy their own Axiom or whatever you end up calling it for yourself. Um, but yeah, if you want to work with us, obviously there's a cost to that, and that's how we're going to sustain this, I think, on long term. Can elementary and secondary institutions make use of this tool as well, or is it just only for post-secondary? As it currently sits, uh, it's not just for post-secondary. We have some ideas around especially the high school level. It's a little bit more difficult and nuances required on the sort of K to 8 section. But yeah, obviously we want this sort of tool is useful for lots of folks, and we love to see that kind of made available, educational large. Another question here. So the basic objective is to provide an environment for the students to use AI in a more controlled, observable way. Absolutely, yeah. And so it goes back to our previous observation regarding the moment we're in. So whether or not we're designing our courses to be AI, what's the word? AI enabled? No, it doesn't sound right. AI, not AI proof, because that's not a thing. But yeah, whether or not we're redesigning our courses or redesigning our assessments to address AI, it doesn't change the fact that students are using AI, right? And most self-reports from institutions and other surveys, it's about 80% students already using AI, and so that presents a problem. The students are using most of the AI tools they're using are they bypass the instructor, right? They bypass the learning supports, and this is a big problem, obviously. So we'll have to kind of think about what to do, how to address that. And so that's where we think AI or Axiom sort of comes in. We want to be the tool that allows you to complete the loop between the student and AI there. Alrighty. So, um, there's a lot of chats there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go through all that and realistically sort of say anything there. If there's anything else, please throw it into the chat. If there's anything I didn't address, I think we have about 5 minutes, right, guys? Yeah, we do. Okay. So we have time for other chats, other comments. I'll just throw this slide up as well. So this is how you can reach it. Whoops, wrong button. This is how you can reach us. hello@learnful.io, axiomai.ca, or just learnful.io. We're more than happy to collaborate and chat. There's a lot of work to do on this topic. We're all trying to solve the same problem, and I think it makes a lot of sense for us to kind of work together and solve that problem, like we've done with for example, H5P, and I think that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, see, we've got one more question in Q&A. Just want to draw your
Sure.
attention to it.
Yep. Let me pull it up here. Do you have any evidence that students use the AI within the Axiom environment dissuade students from inappropriate AI use? No, again, that's a fantastic question. Our hope is that it does. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% of the time that because the instructor has provided an AI environment that the students will be like, well, I don't need to go to ChatGPT. But we think that it's going to be it's better than having nothing, and which is what we have right now, where we have courses without the AI tutor. And as we've kind of mentioned here, it's very easy to build an AI tutor, right? Just upload your files. It's content you already have. Doesn't require a whole lot. And so the reason not to provide your own AI tutor for your course, I think is um, it's becoming less and less of a something that that's difficult to do, and so it makes sense to try and do that. And yes, it's not going to be 100% of students using it, but it's obviously right now it's 0% of students using it. So let's change that. Another question here. The beta version can be accessed by students who are playing around with their free trial. It's up to you if you want to send your students to your beta version. Right now, we don't have any restrictions. We will add it probably next week, but right now we don't have any restrictions for students when they log in terms of, they can create their own spaces as well, which is an interesting concept. So they can create a space for themselves and upload their files, kind of like Notebook LM. Um, but yeah, it's up to, I would say I would provide a caveat to the students that this is like very early tech. It's not, proven in any sort of way, but it's up to you if you want to provide, let your students test it out there. Um, Another question here, how long will the beta link be available? How long can we test it for? And will coursework information be loaded be private? Yes, your course, anything you upload there will be private. Um, uh, how long will the testing be available? We're thinking until the end of December to test. Obviously, we can extend that for use cases. You just shoot us an email and we can accommodate without any issues. Um, but yeah, we want to start to roll out. There will be a free version of this as well on the cloud, so allowing that sort of testing without launching into students, kind of indefinitely. We'll definitely provide that as an option. Um, but yeah, contact us if you have any other sort of questions around that. Looks like just a minute or two left. I just want to thank Mary and everybody at eCampus Ontario for allowing this sort of conversation to occur. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you as well, Yassi. It's been a very wonderful demo. I think you can tell by the amount of questions we got how engaged and inspired, intrigued everybody was. Thank you so much to yourself and Nicole for your time today. We look forward to putting this recording up. Make sure that you have all your links, and we look forward to seeing you in our next eCampus Ontario webinar. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you so much.